Hey, Dr. Mike here. Can't stop thinking about food this holiday season. That's great. Stick around to learn how to manage your food noise with our guest, Dr. Jessie Hehmeyer.
You're listening to Live Foreverish, a show dedicated to helping you live just a little longer. Here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal Gossard.
All right, welcome to Live Foreverish. So, Dr. Christy, are you thinking about a lot of food this holiday season?
Pecan pie, sweet potato pie, red velvet cake, banana pudding. You see, it's all sweets. I have sweets food noise during the holiday season.
I'm on the salty side, the ooey gooey side, the mac and cheese side. Yeah, but it's good stuff. Yeah, and so I think this time of the year, it's tough, right? You got people having you over, you're having people over, family. Every commercial you watch is some food or something, right?
Yes.
And so that's, I guess that's what food noise is,
well,
but we
we'll
got an expert.
We
got an expert. So let me introduce Dr. Jessie Hehmeyer. She is a physician and founder of Well Empowered, where she practices data-driven, we like that, heart-centered functional medicine. She created Well Empowered with one commitment in mind, guiding you in creating the health and vitality that transforms your experience of life and alters what is possible. Dr. Hehmeyer, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you both.
So, are you thinking about a lot of food this holiday season since I asked Dr. Crystal?
So funny. I'm really not, but I can't tell you that it was always like that. So which is to say, food noise used to be a big central theme of my holiday experience. And over the course of years and decades, I have to say that it's just not there. It's not there in a way that it used to be. There are things I'll enjoy, and there's, I'm a big believer in authoring your personal middle ground. So I'm not the same way I might eat on a Wednesday is not how I will eat at, the holiday dinner, so to speak. But there's not a lot of noise about it for me anymore.
Well, I like what you said so far. That was good. But I think our audience would appreciate like your definition as the expert of what is food noise.
Yeah, that's a great question. So food noise, I think about food noise being like a preoccupation or maybe a little more like fixation on food or eating as it pertains to, like what you're going to eat, and then also what you did eat, maybe having some regret or shame about what you ate, or really like fueling cravings mentally. And oftentimes it's paired with kind of like this all or nothing diet mentality. One of the things that I've seen really drives food noise is this notion that, I'm going to, on January 2nd, just for example, since it's the holiday season, it's a great time to use this as a very relatable reference point. The idea that on January 2nd, from at that point on, I'm going to banish all low nutrient foods, right? I'm going to go on the Whole30, or I'm going to give up XYZ for all of January, right? That kind of mentality is often at least partially plays this role on this fixation or preoccupation with food, because there's this sense of a limited window of opportunity, right? Like, oh my goodness, January 2nd, I'm not going to be able to eat this. So I better eat a lot of it right now, right? And so there's a lot we can say about food noise, but I would say, kind of punchline is a little more fixation or preoccupation with food in a way that just doesn't really work. It's one thing to be excited about getting together and having, you have a family member who makes the best, fill in the blank rolls, or maybe they make the best pie, or what, that anticipating joyfully, that is not food noise. We're really talking about, a fixation on what you're going to eat or what you have eaten in a way that just really leaves you feeling kind of owned by food.
Oh, wow. That's probably the most thorough explanation I have ever heard about food noise, especially kind of the regret, kind of thinking about what you've eaten in the past. That's kind of standing out to me as something kind of unique when we look at the definition of food noise. So I guess you sort of answered my next question, which is the difference between hunger and food noise. But do you kind of have any additional details to add on the difference between the two?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Right. This food noise is kind of, internally generated, conversations and fixation, whereas hunger is a real physiological need, right? It's our body cueing us that there is a need for more energy. There is a need for more food. That being said, one of the things I would say about this upcoming season and how just to kind of start to step into how we can help reduce food noise, right? This is a journey. This doesn't happen overnight. But one of the ways we can help turn down food noise a little bit is looking at if we maybe have a habit of arriving at feasts super famished, like not eating all day until, right, the 5 o'clock dinner, or whatever the case may be. I know for some people that's the way they've operated for some time. I know that's how I used to operate. And one of the things that I see in working with people is when we do this, we have this kind of like a micro environment one day where we're doing deprivation and then overindulgence, right? And so when we arrive at that gathering and we haven't eaten all day, we are physiologically hungry, but we'll typically that kind of level of hunger will often lead people to consume and overindulge in a way that leaves them with food noise, right? Because on the other end of it, they have regrets. They're like, oh yeah, I did not need all 4 desserts, full portions of each one, right? Whatever it might be.
Now, I'm curious, where does cravings fall in this whole picture?
Yeah. Well, cravings, I would say sometimes cravings can be like a subset of food noise. I think typically in the more traditional sense of craving, I think of craving as a subset of food noise, kind of like the fixation on, oh, I gotta have this flavor, almost like can't sleep until I scratch that itch sort of a feeling. That's what I think of when people are dealing with cravings that they're really kind of feeling owned by. I think of that as a subset of food noise. And again, that's different and distinct from having a food you really enjoy that you're excited to have this holiday season. That is a different thing. And one of the things I would really point to is your experience, right? If you relate to a food, you overly, you think about it a lot, and so much that it's kind of like a one-track mind. And then when you consume it, you have the feeling of being a little bit out of control. That's where I would put that in that food noise kind of world versus just generally speaking, being excited to enjoy something that brings you a lot of pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, do you think people who suffer a lot of food noise, I think we all have a little bit of this, right? It seems to me that this is probably going on all the time, not just the holidays, right? So how, is the holidays really making the food noise worse, or is the food noise just always there, and now we just have more food to indulge in? Or what do you like to say, Dr. Crystal? Go on food excursions, or whatever. Is that what you say? Sugar excursions. So what do you think there? Is food noise really, it's something we're dealing with all the time?
Yeah, no, I love your point there, Dr. Mike. So I would say, yes, food noise for a lot of people is a regular happening, right? It's not unique to the holidays, but for a lot of people, it really gets amplified during the holidays. And you pointed to one of the reasons, right? One of the reasons is simple abundance, right? The environment of the holidays. I like to talk about the holidays as the Mount Everest of honoring your health, right? Because you think about Mount Everest, and if someone were really into, summiting mountains to that level, they would encounter a lot of challenges on the way of summiting Mount Everest, right? And so the same thing with this holiday world, when we're committed to our health, we encounter a lot of challenges. And some of that is our environment outside, right? We arrive and we go to the parties. First of all, there are more parties, and mostly at those parties, the types of food that are present are not a perfect match for our health intentions, fulfilling our health intentions. And then there's also the environment that is the conversation of the holidays, which is often something like, oh, don't worry about it until January 2nd. Like you'll get, everyone will be happy to tell you to not worry about it until January 2nd. And I'm not suggesting you worry about it, but I am suggesting that we start to look at this way of relating to food in a different way, simply so that you end up feeling more freed up, more present, and ultimately proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Proud of yourself for caring for your body in a way that makes you feel good.
Yeah. So the topic of food noise was first introduced to me, I would say maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago. And it all started with this discussion of the GLP-1 drugs.
Yeah.
And people saying that these drugs stopped their food noise. And, there are researchers that's kind of describing what's happening in the brain and helping people to kind of understand that it's not just willpower. This food noise is coming from hormones that's driving the food noise. And so we know that the drugs, they seem to help. So now you as a nutrition professional, can you share, is it possible to stop food noise naturally
without the drugs?
Without the drugs.
Well,
and I know
I'm living proof that the answer is yes, and so are a lot of the people who I work with, right? So yes is a simple answer, and right, it's going to be a journey, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And there's not one specific way, but there are many different things brought together collectively that will help turn down the volume. And again, just to go back to, we want to be grounded in reality, that change takes time. And that means change in the actions we're taking and change in food noise, simply put, which is at least partially related to the actions we're taking. There's also the truth that, this holiday season, again, all the challenges that you will encounter, we want to have this be actionable. My invitation is to look at this season as a way to play a better game rather than a perfect game. So to circle back and kind of think about okay, how might we turn down the food noise? Well, we can turn down food noise with our visual cues, right? And by visual cues, I mean, what do we have in our environment that we're seeing? You go to a party and someone sends you home with cookies. And if you really do want to bring those cookies home, great, but maybe you don't put them on your kitchen counter. Maybe you put them in the pantry. Grab a cookie when you feel inspired to do so. But I suspect, if you make that little shift, your food noise will actually get tapped down a little bit, right? That would be one example. Another way that you could play with that same concept is, okay, if the cookies go in the pantry, what is going on the kitchen counter? Well, maybe you put some fruit, maybe you put a banana or an avocado, right? So you're getting the visual cue of, oh yeah, I'm committed to my health. I am, right? Yeah, sure, fine. I'll have a cookie, but I am committed to my health.
Even if you never eat the fruit, but go get the cookie 2 days later.
I'll tell you, I like your approach.
Like at one point, somewhere in there, you're going to chop up that avocado and put it on a salad.
You got to do
You're
it.
Right.
Some eggs, right?
You are so on to something here.
Yeah.
I
have
there are ways we can set ourselves up physiologically to turn down that the the food noise that, like, as you were saying, Dr. Crystal, is really right. This is a biological phenomenon. This isn't just willpower or something that, a sign of weakness at all by any stretch of the imagination. But we want to bring in different tools. So how might we set up our physiology to reduce our food noise? Well, blood sugar stability as a whole is, one of the most powerful things we can learn about and begin to practice to reduce our food noise. And to be a little more specific, what you might take on is really just starting with your first meal of the day being centered around blood sugar stability, right? So that might be, for example, with breakfast, having it be a little bit more protein fat centric. We're not anti-carbs, but we want to think about, okay, we want to emphasize that protein, maybe, something like 20 grams of protein, 10 grams of heart healthy fat. That's things like avocado and nuts and nut butters and chia seeds and flax meal, all these great things. And then if we're using carbs, making sure they're really giving our body something useful, right? Vitamins and minerals or fiber. So fundamentally, we're thinking about fruits or vegetables, or we're thinking about high fiber things like beans, or if you're going to bring in something like a toast, making sure that it's really teeming with fiber, at least 4 grams of fiber per slice. So, from a high level, just really starting with, okay, the foundation I move from is setting me up to reduce food noise. And that might be the first step for you, right? And that would be a really great, powerful step to each day, no matter what happens the night before, no matter how that holiday party went, starting off your day, it's almost like you touch home base every morning. You get that protein fat centric meal to stabilize your blood sugar and reduce food noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have one.
Yeah.
So, and this goes back to my dad. I think meal planning can help. So let me explain. So I remember growing up, like we'd be having breakfast, and my dad's already wondering what he's going to eat for lunch. He's not even done with breakfast. And then we're having lunch, and he's already thinking about what we're going to eat for dinner. He's not even done with lunch. And in dinner, he's thinking, well, oh, what's for breakfast? Oh, maybe we can use some of the... It was never ending. And so I wonder if we... like plan our meals better, and you don't need to worry about what's for dinner. And if somebody says that, oh, I already got it ready, don't worry about it, maybe that could help too.
Love that, Dr. Mike. Absolutely. Right, you've already made the decision. You don't even need to think about it.
Yeah. All right, that was just me.
So I'm wondering, this is something that maybe works, since Dr. Mike added his.
And mine got a thumbs up from the experts.
Let's see if I can one up Dr. Mike.
This happens all the time.
What do you think about water and staying hydrated, and maybe water before meals, or having water throughout the day? There's this idea that when we're thinking about food, or we think we're hungry, maybe we really are thirsty. Just curious.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely, Dr. Crystal. You were totally spot on there. Sometimes there can be a confusion, thirsty, not hungry, and our body confuses it. To that same point of confusions that can happen, one of the ways that food noise can get really kicked up is if we're not getting enough sleep, which of course is, a theme for many people during the holiday season. But, similarly, it's a case of mistaken identity. Our body misunderstands I need energy in the form of sleep as I need energy in the form of food, right? It's a case of mistaken identity. And so, if that rings true to anyone, for anyone listening, I would just invite you to start to notice on days where, for whatever reason, the amount of sleep you got the night before was not what you intended. That next day, start to notice your cravings and the food noise. Is it getting kicked up? And also, okay, great. If you do see the answer to that is yes, perhaps you can find a way to say be a no thank you to something that might not really, be a match for for you feeling better, and really look at, okay, great, how can I get more sleep tonight? Because that's what my body really needs.
Yeah.
So I think so far everything we've talked about, the strategy is fantastic. Even your water thing was okay. The meal plan was better. You're making me forget what I was going to say.
See, yeah,
no, I got it. Just a minute. So all of these strategies, I think, these are everyday stuff, right? But Dr. Hehmeyer, it's December now. There's commercials all over the place of food and cakes and cookies, and you're going to people's houses, and there's talk about food on the counter. There's all kinds of appetizers. So what do we need to do now? Do we got to ramp up all these strategies, or is there something a little different we can do during the holidays?
Yeah, great question, Dr. Mike. My encouragement is to step into the season being realistic. Do not set yourself up for unrealistic expectations, right? This is, if, making some shifts this holiday season is something that you really see would make you proud of yourself. Great. Let's start with baby steps. So for all of you listening, my encouragement is to look at your own life and where you might start. Maybe you see for yourself starting with alcohol. That would be where you want to start. You just see that, okay, let's just say alcohol tends to be more of a challenge, and you see when you drink more alcohol, you eat more food, right? It kind of feeds into this fury. So maybe for you, you would start with alcohol, but maybe you would start with how much dessert you're having, or maybe you'll start with, okay, I typically forget all about exercise and movement until January 2nd, beginning right now. Maybe you'll start by figuring out, okay, maybe I can get 2 20-minute workouts in a week. Maybe I could do that, right? So we just want to baby step it forward and, make a promise. Make one promise to yourself about one action you will begin practicing every day, beginning today, and practice it. And the thing about that is you take, you identify the action, you take the action, and you acknowledge yourself for the action, like really acknowledge yourself.
That's nice.
And then if you fail, right, if you don't take that action one day, look at it as a learning opportunity. What didn't work? Well, okay, I said I was going to get vegetables once a day, and I didn't get to the grocery store. I didn't have any vegetables, so I didn't have vegetables. Okay, great. So how can you maybe be a little more strategic about getting to the grocery stores, or having what you need? So there are a lot of different ways you could approach that. But to me, it's like, okay, let's make a promise about one action you'll begin practicing this holiday season. Acknowledge yourself when you do it. Like, actually, when you fail, look at what you can learn from it, and then just repeat it. Repeat that all over again.
Wow, that's a great strategy. Nice. I mean, this is fantastic.
It's manageable.
It's manageable, and you have given our listeners, I think, the most valuable gift they could ever receive this holiday season. And we appreciate you for doing that. But just speaking of gifts, we just have a fun question to ask you. We did a show. We usually do it maybe every other year. Holiday
gifts.
Health gifts.
Yeah.
And so we're curious, if you could give our listeners one gift this holiday season, health related, what would that gift be?
I love that question, Dr. Crystal. So the gift I would give every single one of you is, I would give you the gift of giving up the all or nothing approach, and the gift of stepping into a whole new era of playing your best game right now. I call that mastering your middle ground, right? So giving up this overindulgence deprivation cycle and really stepping into a new way of relating to eating, drinking, moving, sleeping, that really becomes an inquiry you have with yourself around, okay, what is the best game I could play right now? What action could I take that I would be really proud of myself for taking? So really just shifting perspective. To me, when people make that shift, when the light bulb goes on, it's nothing short of miraculous.
That's great.
What emerges over time.
Yeah, fantastic information. Thank you, Dr. Hehmeyer, for coming on the show. If our listeners want to connect with you, learn a little bit more about you, where can they go?
Yes, thank you. You can find me on Instagram at LELempowered. You can find me on my website, LELempowered, EMPOWERED.com. And then I have a little hidden page that I'd love to share with your listeners. It has some secret discounts.
Crystal, she's getting all ready.
Writing it down.
Yeah. Yes. So if you go to LELempowered.com/gifts, you'll find some secret discounts. If you're interested in exploring working together, you can take a look at those. And you can also schedule a complimentary consultation. It would be a pleasure to connect live with any of you.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dr. Mike. Thanks so much, Dr. Crystal. It's been a pleasure.
Don't forget, you can go to liveforeverish.com and you can download and like and share and comment and, of course, subscribe to the Live Foreverish podcast. I'm not going to ask Dr. Crystal how many episodes are there because we never know. There's over 500 now, right? Come on. Something close? I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot there. That's liveforeverish.com. And then, by the way, our sponsor, Life Extension, they want to say thank you for being a great audience. If you go to lifeextension.com, shop around. When you're at checkout, use the discount code
podcast. I was ready.
She was ready this time. That's right. Podcast. You get 10% off, $50 or more, plus free shipping and handling. That's at lifeextension.com. I'm Dr. Mike. That's
Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for listening.